If you struggle with the furnace attack or you're interested in picking it up and learning it, this is going to be a really good video to help you understand how to do the attack at an in-depth level. What I'm going to do is I've asked a lot of the members on the channel to come to my clan and share replays of their fails so that I can analyze them with you guys. So that's what we're going to do for today's video. Is I am going to go through some replays one by one, and we're going to be kind of nitpicky with some of the things that they do. That way you guys get a good idea of everything that you can do in the attack well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play through the replay. Then maybe at the end I can talk about if their plan was good or not, but I'm mostly going to focus on the execution part of this. So let's go ahead. I'll times forward until he puts something down. Okay, we've got the Warden down here. He did tell me he's got the owl on the Warden because his Sneezy's upgrading. So Sneezy's definitely better, but he's got the owl now just because he doesn't have that available at the moment. He's probably aiming to get the clan castle, I would imagine. Poison tower is really good if you can get that. So first thing, we're gonna pause. First mistake, or maybe tip of advice, I would spread your furnaces out a little bit more. If you can put one here, maybe one here. If you do want to use a third one with your Warden, just spread them out a little bit. The reason for that is you want these fire mites to target different buildings. The fire mite hitting the building really doesn't do very much damage. It's that damage over time that really is going to stack up. So if you can spread that out a little bit more and have those fire mites not hitting the same building, it will really drastically improve the speed at which your Warden walk occurs and the damage overall from the furnaces and stuff. And it will also provide a little bit better tanking because splash damage will be likely or less likely to get them to go down. Okay, looks like he's starting to try and set up the fireball. I do like that he put a furnace on every corner, by the way. He puts two on the right. I usually just stick with one because it does kind of go to waste. Okay, he does get the fireball on the poison tower. Oh, I don't think he realized, but yes, the poison tower would have gotten the CC. So if you had put one earthquake here and one earthquake here, you'd have gotten the CC as well with this. Everything else that you did get, which is kind of annoying to have to deal with the CC even though you didn't need to. I don't know exactly how that feels. I can't tell you how many times I've whiffed my earthquakes. And it's triple ice golem, so yeah, that's going to slow him down quite a bit. All right, let's see exactly what he's going to plan on doing next. It looks like he didn't put a furnace on the left-hand side, but that's okay. Okay. The second thing, if you do have an exposed hook tower like this, you should always just set your king down to get your king hooked immediately. Don't worry about ice golems. This ice golem is probably going to be a big waste because it's just going to freeze up the hook tower, and then it's not really freezing up any defenses that are going to really do a whole lot of damage. And now, if I had to guess, oh, did he recall his Warden? Oh, okay, he did, and just puts him right back outside. I don't mind that. But now the hook tower is not going to hook your king because there's so many extra troops in front of the king now. So I would definitely put your king down first because that's what you want to get hooked. You want your king ability would have opened up all these walls. You'd have had access to the monolith, and your queen would have access to this multi-inferno over here. I'm going to change the size of the pen here. But yeah, anyway, that is, so yeah, that's another thing that I would focus on. If you're going to recall your Warden, like in this situation here, one thing that you should be doing is putting him outside of the range of this fire spitter. So I'd have put my Warden over here. Fire spitters are one of the most spell-intensive defenses that you have to come across purely because of their range. They do a decent amount of damage, but their range is really the thing that's the most annoying. So if you did recall your Warden from here, I'd have put him outside of the range of the fire spitter. That would have helped a lot. Then you don't have to waste very many spells. Yeah, it looks like your king just goes to ability because of the monolith anyway, so it's not like saving him really helped you out that much anyway. Man, hopefully the queen will get the monolith. That's actually doing quite a bit. And then let's see what he's got planned for the royal champion as well, because that's also going to be... It looks like the monolith should go down to some fire mites. Okay, we've got that going. Yeah, that multi-inferno in the core is going to be a big issue for the fire mites. They're not going to really get any value. I don't mind the place that you put the royal champion. Opposite from the Warden is usually a good idea because you don't want the Warden kind of latching on and putting himself in a dangerous situation, especially if you've got the rocket spear equipped. And you have one, well, he used his invis. I'm not sure where he used it. I didn't see that. But he's got the Phoenix, so this might end up being a time fail. Let's just times 2 through the rest of this. Yeah, so this is a time fail. But, so my plan, let me go ahead and get back into this, and I will show you guys what I'd have done plan-wise, start to finish on this base. So quick recap. I think this was the correct choice to fireball. This or the poison tower on the other side, right? Getting the clan castle would have made a big difference. You'd have gotten all of these defenses here. You don't get that multi-inferno. I do like that you had your warden go to the left. You recalled him. As soon as if you do recall him, I'd have put him maybe a little bit over here. He can't really come this way because all of these buildings are going to be gone anyway, so you don't really have to worry about that. I would have stuck my king right here with my queen and the siege barracks right here. And the reason I'm placing these things where I am is, one, king's pretty obvious. I want him to get hooked. Two, I want the queen to come down here and clean these trash buildings to kind of complete the funnel so that she kind of heads this way. And really, ideally, into the core. And that's why I'm putting the siege barracks right here, is I want them to kind of help clear some of these trash buildings so that my queen, these walls are all going to be open from the king ability, right? So I want my queen to go to the core. I will pop her ability in one or two situations. One, if she gets targeted by something or gets really low, but two, as soon as the monolith targets her, really is when I would pop the ability. Then I know that she's going to be safe. She'll be able to get the monolith and this multi-inferno in the core, and then your furnaces don't have to worry about that. And I would have just have my royal champion probably end up getting this ricochet cannon and expo and maybe the enemy queen and stuff over here. Those are really the only things that the warden would struggle with at that point. Okay, replay number 1 out of the way. Let's dive into another one. All right, let's talk about raid number 2. This is Ontos, and he's from my clan, from Savage Stars. This one, he actually left a little bit of a description in the replay, so I've actually watched this one all the way through and makes a pretty kind of a common but major mistake by putting all 4 rocket loons down at once by his warden, and it lures his warden into the base, and he ends up losing his warden. So definitely don't ever put all 4 of your rocket loons down at one time, because it will lure your warden that direction unless you want him to go that direction. But it's very obvious that that's not what he wanted on this one. He was trying to snipe the wizard tower, if I had to guess. Yeah. So what happens now is the warden is attached to these 4 rocket balloons, right? He's headed to this wizard tower. That's what the warden's targeting right now. But then as soon as this warden tower dies and this ground expo dies, he's going to start targeting this mortar over here. So he's walking clear over here while 2 ground expos and a ricochet cannon are targeting him. And then it's kind of impossible to keep him alive while he's constantly moving and stuff. And you can see now he's targeting the expo, but the expo goes down now, and now he's headed to the mortar. So at this point, you've whiffed the fireball. The warden's dead. What do you do? At this point, obviously, you need to identify what is the most dangerous part of the base. That is going to be this raged up section right here, right? The town hall is a little bit scary, but you can get to that really easily with your king and your queen. So starting at this point, what I would do is probably recall my healers, put my king and my queen here, put my siege barracks down here in order to get my king and my queen to come in and get the town hall. That way I know I'm not going to 1-star. But then I would wait until a lot of these buildings like over in this area have died, and I have a clear path to use my royal champion and the rocket spear to, one, take out the fire spitter because the queen can't reach that, but then head to the core. At this point in the raid, you have 3 invisibility spells, a rage, and 2 earthquakes that you can use on that core. That will, with the royal champion and the phoenix, should clear the rest of the core. And if you can keep your healers kind of healthy and not die to this town hall, there really is not a whole lot of damage that you have to worry about going around the whole back end of the base. You've got furnaces to tank for the monolith that you can kind of spread throughout the base behind your heroes and stuff. I think you can still absolutely recover this raid if you do that. He does use 1 earthquake here to help get this ricochet cannon, which I actually don't mind that, but he uses 1 earthquake in the middle. I wouldn't recommend that because there are 3 builder huts right here, and everything's going to be healed up by the time you get anything to the core. So that was kind of a wasted earthquake. So that's being kind of nitpicky, but again, that's the point of this video, right? Okay, he does kind of funnel the way that I would have. The healers are kind of dying to the fire mites now. I probably would have just recalled the healers. I don't know where else you'd be able to even use a recall very well on this base anyway. And I don't want the healers traveling through all the things just in case there's traps or anything. I'd rather just recall them and know that they're going to be safe. Yeah, they're basically dead right now anyway. So yeah, here's where I would have put the royal champion here to have the royal champion go to the core. That would be the best way to give you the best chance of 3-starring this base. And if your healers were healthy, you'd have 5 healers right now instead of 0. So your queen may have been able to kind of walk through the rest of that. This is being kind of nitpicky too, but the furnaces right here are really not going to do a whole lot because you've got 2 multi-infernos in the core. They might get 1 more defense, but then there's no way they're going to get any more value there. They're going to get much more value spread out throughout the other side of the base. You could have put 1 over here, 1 over here, maybe 1 over here, and it would have cleared and got you a lot more percentage so that you get more trophies, which is still a big deal, right? You know, maybe you failed this raid, but you can always get more trophies if you kind of focus on things like that. But yeah, you can see all these furnaces are not going to really do a whole lot in the core here. But Royal Champion definitely would have been the best use of the Royal Champion, rather, would have been to put her in the core. I would say, if you do lose your Warden and you whiff your Fireball, step 1 should be identify the hardest part of the base. Step 2 is going to be figuring out what hero you need to use in order to deal with the most difficult part of the base. On this base, it's really difficult to get the queen to live in like a rage section like that because there's only 1 queen and 5 healers, right? She can get outbursts still. You have some invis spells, but she's not quite like the Royal Champion where she can use them as good. So the Royal Champion would have been a much better resource to deal with the core here. And the queen and the king would have been a much better resource to clear around the outside of the base and take care of everything else. And yeah, you can see my point being with the extra furnaces you put over here. With those multi-infernos in the core, they really just don't get any value. Multi-infernos are just the exact counter to furnaces. They just, yeah, they don't let you get anywhere close. But yeah, obviously, when this is happening live, right, if your Warden dies, you're like, holy crap, I got to just put everything down and just get going. So it is kind of hard to think of this stuff on the fly, but identify the hardest part of the base, figure out what hero you should use to deal with that. That's really going to give you the chance or highest chance of success, but save your healers though. All right, replay number 3. This is from Wolfar. We've got a double invis base. Let's go ahead and watch this. Okay. Okay, so he sends a rocket loon to test for Teslas, launches the fireball immediately, so he understands that he didn't need to invis anything, so good start to the raid. You could spread the furnaces out a tiny bit more so that they don't go to the same thing. Actually, it looks like they aren't anyway, so it kind of worked out. There you go. Okay, kind of scary that the Warden's going to the right because there's a fire spitter in range for a little bit longer and the monolith over there, which is always kind of scary, and a sweeper's going to blow your heroes away or healers away once you get there. By the way, I don't know if he did this or not because I can't see his live hit. If you get a base with a hook tower like this, you should always just click on the hook tower at the beginning of the raid and understand, okay, my Warden, as soon as he gets like close to this wall here, that's when he's going to start getting hooked. That's when you need to start worrying and sweating and panicking a little bit. Maybe recall the Warden too. Okay, he's putting, okay, so it looks like what his plan's going to be is he's going to have the Warden go to the right. He's going to have his king and queen come here to the left, hopefully getting his king hooked here with the hook tower. That's, if I had to guess, that's what his plan is, because he put the siege barracks on the left over there. I do like that he's letting the siege barracks unload for about 10 seconds before he puts any of the other heroes down. He should be putting them down soon. Okay, he does recall the hero or the Warden. I do like that recall. I'm a fan of that. That gets you kind of out of the range of the scariness of the hook tower. He's far away now, and you're not going to be dealing with a fire spitter and a monolith at the same time, and the sweeper's not going to be blowing your healers away at the same time too. So I do like that. I do like that you've spread the furnaces out at the top a little bit too. Okay, let's take a look at your heroes. Okay, one thing. You definitely want to try, if you can, to get your king hooked here. The only way that you're going to be able to do that is you've let your siege barracks unload for a little bit. You need to put your king on this side and your queen over here, and probably honestly pop her ability right away so that she can help clear all of these buildings so that you can wall break here and get your king into this compartment ideally. You want to put your ice golem down first on this one, too, just like you have, because you do want to freeze all these defenses up so that your king can stay healthy. Once he steps into the wall for this gold storage or towards the town hall, he will then get hooked, and he should open up a whole bunch of walls over here. Because now what's probably going to happen is one of two things. Your king's going to walk up here, or he's going to go to ability really early, and you're not going to have it for the hook tower now. So you should have put your king on the other side, but that's, again, that's a small thing, but it makes a huge difference. Wall breaker doesn't make it. Another small tip, again, being nitpicky, because that's what the purpose of this is. Wait till your ice golem dies before you put your wall breaks down. That way, all of these defenses are frozen, and there's nothing that's going to be able to target your wall breaker down. So just be patient with your wall breaks. Yeah, so his king ability was forced really early. He got lucky, and his king ability did hit the hook tower, but again, there's nothing to really finish it off. King's dead at this point. Still has the queen ability, but at this point, the hook tower is by far the scariest thing in the base, because anything that gets hooked, it's a death sentence, right? You're not going to live anymore. And you don't really have a good way to avoid it at this point either. You don't have a recall. It honestly might even be worth it to send the Royal Champion from like 6 o'clock or so to get the Fire Spitter and the hook tower. Queen will deal with the Town Hall. The Fire Mites might even actually eventually deal with the hook tower, but your Warden looks like he might get hooked any second. Okay, so that is what he does. He does send the Royal Champion that way. He does have the Rocket Spear. Okay, does get the hook tower. He does have an Ice Block spell so that he can keep his... Oh, he should have Ice Blocked his Royal Champion so that she didn't walk clear over to that side there, because now she's retargeting a whole bunch of other stuff and the Warden dies. But still, given the fact that your king and your queen didn't get almost any value, this is still a pretty good raid, and I think this honestly might even be a time fail. Let's just find out. Oh, it might barely be a fail. Oh, it's close. So, again, my plan for this base would have been basically exactly what you did, except I'd put my siege barracks here, let it unload for about 10 seconds just like you did, then stick my queen right here and pop her ability right away, and then put my king down, well, Ice Golem and then king. So Ice Golem and then king, and then wait till the Ice Golem dies, use a wall break, get my king to step just inside this wall, because the range of the hook tower was something like this, and then he gets hooked. He'll open up all these walls for your queen and stuff. You can put the poison on the Ice Golems there. They're going to worry about your king and stuff for a little bit too. So that would have been a much better way to execute just this part of the raid. But you definitely, your king was probably going to walk even if he didn't go to ability there. So definitely you needed to complete the funnel on that side, or with your siege barracks and your queen, and you needed your king to come into this part here. But that was really the only thing that really went wrong this raid. Other than that, these center hook tower bases are fairly difficult, right? I get these questions more than anything else. All right, let's go to the next replay. All right, let's dive into another replay. This is another one from Ontos. I don't really know how you pronounce that. Okay, looks like he's setting a Flame Flinger up on the right-hand side. I like that. That's a good Flame Flinger. That's going to get a lot of value. Yeah, really good Flame Flinger. When you're placing your Flame Flinger, one thing I'll note, he did this well, by the way. You can see you've got a queen here and a king here. If you put your Flame Flinger too far this way, it will aggro onto the king will aggro onto the Flame Flinger while it's attacking these two things. If you put the Flame Flinger over here, the queen's going to target it before it can really get value. So you almost want to put the Flame Flinger like right in the middle of these two heroes. So yeah, like right in this area here, that was like perfect. That was like about right where you want that Flame Flinger to be. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the rest of this replay. We've got another center hook tower base. Let's go ahead and see exactly what we do here. We're going to speed this up just a tiny bit until about when he launches the fireball. Okay, he did put a furnace on every corner. I like that. Definitely do that every raid. Get in the habit of that. Okay. Oh. Either he whiffed the fireball, because I don't know if he meant to, it looks like based on where he's putting the earthquakes, he meant to hit the rage tower, so it looks like he placed those a little bit incorrectly. But he could have got the CC and the expo, and he didn't put his earthquakes down correctly, so that's kind of painful. He does recall the Warden right away. What does he do with the... Okay, he puts the Warden up top. He's safe for a while. Queen actually dies to the Flame Flinger, which is kind of nice. At this point, still a really good fireball, to be honest. I would wait till this Rage Tower dies, or expires or whatever. I would probably put... I probably would have put a couple more furnaces right over here to try and eliminate some of these buildings. And then I would try and have my queen, probably queen over here to help deal with these things that are over the wall. And then my king just right here, putting an Ice Golem down first. When the Ice Golem dies, I would try and wall break right here so that I can try and get one of those guys hooked. That would be my plan if I were in this position right now. Let's see. I don't know if the Warden's heading towards the Town Hall, but if he is, you do need to worry about that single Inferno too, which is kind of scary. You have a skeleton spell. That's probably, I would have put the skeleton spell, try to do it outside of the range of the Town Hall. Okay, you're not going to be able to, but I would have put the skeleton spell like right over here. Because that skeleton spells, or the Inferno, and you don't, that's the only way that you can deal with that. Or use your Royal Champion to deal with the single Inferno, which might have actually been a good choice too. Yeah, he gets his Ice Golem hooked, which kind of sucks. It would have been much better to get the Ice Golem to die earlier in the raid. Because now his king doesn't have a good way to deal with the hook tower, and it's just going to continuously hook things and send them to die. Oh yeah, see, the hook tower does, or the single Inferno does get the Warden. But the Flame Flinger was sick. That's still really good Flame Flinger. It'll eventually get that multi-geared cannon. The Monolith is going to go down. The Royal Champion should get the hook tower and the single Inferno, I think, based on how many rocket shots she's got. Okay, she should. It's pretty low. And this one might be a time fill. Let's just speed through the rest of this one. It's something that you do have to get used to, is looking ahead where the Warden's going. Seeing that single Inferno probably would have changed the entire outcome of this raid. Having your Warden alive, you definitely triple this easy. A little bit of change to how you put things down here. You definitely want your king to get hooked. Because of that, you want to put your Ice Golem down first, so that it dies kind of early on. One, protecting your king, but two, preventing the Ice Golem from being hooked. I'd have put the Ice Golem right here to help deal with the ricochet cannons. Put my king and my queen down too, so that, and I like to pop my queen ability really early. And then as soon as the Ice Golem dies, put my wall break down. That probably would have got the king hooked. So the order, I guess something that I'm kind of realizing as I'm watching these replays, the order that you put your heroes down, your king and your queen and your Ice Golem, is going to drastically determine whether or not you're going to be able to get your king hooked or not. You need your king to be healthy. You need the Ice Golem to die and tank for him. And you need the Ice Golem to die so that you can get a successful wall break off. So be patient with your wall breaks. Do that. But this one looks like it's probably actually going to be a fail because the king wasted the rocket, or the Phoenix from the Royal Champion. But really close. And unfortunately, another thing is, if you pay attention and you realized you accidentally invised the wrong stuff and you got this, you could have got the Clan Castle and the Expo with your Earthquakes too, which is kind of unfortunate. So, but okay, let's go. We'll do one more replay. All right, this will be the last replay from 𝗩𝗓𝗗𝗘𝗢𝗦. Not sure how to pronounce that either. You guys should just come up with normal names. Just be born in the US, name yourself John, and make it easy for me. I don't know what all this is. And we've got 𝗩𝗓𝗗𝗘𝗢𝗦 from Anime World. All right, let's go ahead. Before we get into this, I've rated this base, or one very similar to it, a lot. You really have two ways that you can deal with this. One is to fireball the hook tower, which is actually a lot more simple than you think. Or two would be to fireball one of the rage sections. Like, let's just say you fireball this rage section here. Make sure your Warden's either going to the left or recall him and put him on the left, and then get your king hooked on this side. Those are the two ways that you can deal with that. Let me show you how easy this fireball is though. Quickly coming up with a plan. First thing you want to do is click on the hook tower to find the range of it. I'm going to place one invis here to get these three buildings. I'm going to put a second invis on these two buildings, and I'm going to put a third invis just to be safe on these three buildings. I will put my Warden down after I've searched with like a Barbarian or something for Teslas, or one Rocket Loon or something, and I will immediately fireball this Expo. What that's going to do, that Expo will get the Expo, Sweeper, Rage Tower, Ricochet Cannon, Air Defense, Clan Castle, Hook Tower, Inferno, Builder Hut. All of these buildings that you're seeing here can go down to that too. You need 2 Earthquakes to hit the Clan Castle, and you need 2 if the Ricochet Cannon is supercharged twice. If it's only supercharged once, you only need 1 Earthquake to get it. So what I would do is I would put 1 Earthquake here and 1 Earthquake here, and that's going to get literally all of those buildings. Then you don't have to worry about literally any of this stuff. That's a really good fireball, but that's kind of risky, and a lot of people aren't able to come up with a plan like that. So fireballing the Rage Tower is a little bit easier. I actually don't know what he did here. So that would kind of be my thing. Okay, so it looks like he's going to try and fireball the Rage section. on the right-hand side. I don't know why I'm like kind of a left guy. I just kind of like to do on the left if I can. Just, I feel more comfortable doing that, but yeah, everybody's different, right? All right. Okay, nitpick number 1. 9 times or 95 times out of 100, so it's like basically always, if I'm attacking something that's going to go down to the fireball, that's when I know it's time to ice block my warden. So ice block. Let me tell you the invis spells really quickly. You're going to need one invis like here. You can get all 3 of these buildings. You're going to need 1 invis here to get these 3 buildings, and then you can launch your fireball really easy. If you want to just be safe, you can use 2 invises to get these buildings here because some people don't feel comfortable enough to do it that way. But your 3rd invis here, you could even maybe do it on the wizard tower, although there's definitely no way that's closer, right? Look at that. There's no way the wizard tower would be closer than the rage tower to the warden. Yeah, you've got like that and then that. Yeah, I think that you'd have been fine. So I would have fireballed already. But again, it's just something, this is going to come with practice, right? This is one of the nitpicky things. Okay, he ice blocks the warden. I don't like that he ice blocked the healers, but he's full health, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. Oh, his earthquakes were misplaced, so he didn't get the ricochet cannon down, and then his warden died. But he actually does get the hook tower with that. I didn't realize that. I just didn't even think about that. So he actually does get the hook tower with that rage tower. I guess that makes sense because it's only 3 tiles diagonally away. So warden dies. Okay, well, what do you do now? 1, save your healers, recall them. 2, get your king hooked, put his ability down. 3, set your siege barracks over here and put your queen here so the queen with the healers can deal with this rage section. You're going to use your wall break and your stuff over here. You've got your 2 wall breaks still. Make sure that your wall breaks can get there, so be patient. The queen can hit stuff over the wall, so you don't need to go and rush your wall breaks in. But your queen will deal with that section a little bit better than the royal champion in this case because you don't have any invis spells. Once your rocket spear runs out, she's going to Phoenix, and then that's going to be it. So you need your queen to deal with the hardest part on this base, which is going to be right over here. And to be honest, this part of the base is not going to be that scary if you can get your king hooked, because 1, the rage tower will have triggered probably. 2, a lot of this rage section is going to go down to the spiky ball and earthquake boots, at least these buildings over here. And then 3, that's going to open up all of the walls for your queen as well, actually, so that she has access to the town hall and all of these buildings down here. I would be saving every single one of my spells at this point in the raid for my queen. And then I would have the royal champion deal with the area of the base that's going to be the most difficult for my queen to deal with, which is probably going to be these buildings with the king over here. So, and maybe the monolith as well. But you can always use a skeleton spell over here for the monolith. Let's see what he does. You can still get your king hooked, and that is a fantastic king ability, right? And since him literally right now, he's going to get hooked. Oh yeah, that's perfect. And I don't mind that placement for the siege barracks as well, although it's not necessarily going to funnel your queen into this area. Poison's good. What happened to his healers? Did he recall them or did they just die? It looks like all his healers died, and he has a recall spell that's going to be kind of useless now. So you should really prioritize saving your healers. Oh no, the queen gets hooked. Okay, he recalls the queen. I guess what else can you really even do with it at this point? I don't like, again, you should spread your furnaces out a little bit. Maybe one over here, one over here, one over here, one over here. When they're stacked like this, they're not really gonna, it's not gonna maximize the value, especially against a ricochet cannon, because the ricochet cannon will hit 2 of them at a time. It takes like 5 furnaces to be able to overpower a ricochet cannon because it shoots so fast. Yeah, and you can see that's exactly how many you needed, but you already had 3 from your siege barracks. So let's see what he does with his royal champion. Obviously, this one's going to be really tough to triple. So it looks like he's just trying to get the clan or the town hall with the royal champion at this point, which I think at this point in the raid was the right choice. You definitely want to just secure the 2-star because it looks like your queen wasn't going to get there. The furnaces probably would have got it anyway, but that's definitely, it's good to be safe rather than sorry. But yes. If your warden dies or you whiff your fireball, again, identify the hardest part of the base, which was over here. Figure out what hero you need to use in order to get that down. You didn't have any invis spells left, so your royal champion's really not going to be able to deal with that very well. So your queen with all of the healers, you're basically going to be clean charging the rest of this base is essentially what you're going to do. And then use royal champion to help make it easier for your queen. Kind of on this back end probably. That would have been my suggestion for how you could overcome your warden dying like that. But I will say though, the timing with the ice block spell and the invises and leftover buildings and stuff like that is something that you will get comfortable with the more that you do this attack. If you were a little bit more quick with how you had placed your invis spells down after you ice blocked your warden, he would have been ice blocked still for a couple of seconds when the invis spells had worn off. And had you placed your earthquake spells correctly, that ricochet cannon would have gone down too. So really small little things though that are going to make a big difference, especially with launching the fireball. So anyway, I know this was kind of a longer, more informational video, but hopefully you guys find that helpful. I've been asked a lot of questions about how to deal with your warden dying or your fireball whiffing or double poison center hook tower bases and things like that. So I think we covered at least one of all of that in this video. If you guys have any other ideas or you want to see me do this again with more bases, let me know in the comments down below. And if I can't find enough variety of bases, I will open it up to everybody that wants to come share replays and not just the members on the channel. But that will do it. I will see you guys next time.